Hello, welcome to the interview here on France 24. Is the UN peace plan for Syria ready for the rubbish bin? Is it even worth the paper that it's printed on? The world's top diplomat, the UN chief Ban Ki-moon, he has all but given up even trying to sound diplomatic. He's accused the government of Syrian President Bashar Assad of failing to comply with just about every aspect of Kofi Annan's six-point peace plan for Syria. Now, meanwhile, as the first small group of observers are on the ground in Syria, by some accounts they are struggling to do their job. And a lot of Arabic and Western nations here in Europe, US as well, already looking for a tougher line on Syria. Is there any hope for the peace plan and the strategy itself? Joining me from Geneva today is Nasser Al-Qudwa. Welcome. Thanks for taking the time out. He is the top deputy to Kofi Annan, who himself is the joint Arab League and UN envoy to Syria, and as we know, the architect of the UN peace strategy there. Thanks for being here. UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon has said in the past day or so that far from peace, what we are currently seeing on the ground in Syria is violence, escalating violence at that. We here at France 24 are no longer even using the word ceasefire to talk about this peace plan. What is your assessment, sir, of what is happening as of today on the ground in Syria?
Yes, the situation is, of course, not good. There are so many reasons for all of us to be worried about lack of implementation, at least lack of full implementation by the Syrian government and maybe by some other parties as well. We definitely want to see this full implementation of all obligations, especially with regard to the cessation of violence in all its forms, but I wouldn't characterize the situation the way you did. And actually, it is at some times it was much better. Unfortunately, it got deteriorated a little bit more after that. But generally, it's still better than what it used to be. Sir, there are much of work to be done anyway.
Much work to be done. Let me just jump in here. As you're speaking, what our viewers are seeing, they're seeing pictures of plumes of black smoke rising above Syrian cities, such as Ham and Dara, across the country. That is not a ceasefire. And the question people are asking is, what can this peace plan do to stop Bashar Assad from the shelling? And most people will agree, this is Bashar Assad's shells.
Well, again, I agree with you that we don't see much of a ceasefire, but this plan did a lot of positive things, not least of which was achieving unity among members of the Security Council, first in support of the six-point plan and in demanding the implementation of the part related to the cessation of violence and other parts of the plan, and then in Resolution 2042, authorizing the dispatching of an advanced team of UN observers and expressing the intent of the Council to establish a full-fledged observer mission. This is no small thing to achieve, and we hope that the existence of those observers will help create in different dynamics. We believe that, yes, the Council and the whole international community needs to send a clear signal that the current situation is not acceptable and that there should be indeed full compliance with the provisions of the plan, especially when it comes to cessation of violence. But I also call upon everybody to see the positive aspects that is being done and to use this positive elements to improve the situation and to move forward with the maybe the more important part, which is the political solution of the current crisis.
I would like, though, to get back to what you're saying about the observers. We all will remember those images from last year, the Arab League mission, its observer mission, which we all will remember did end in a failure, in disarray. Some people see the same signs already with these observers and say there are far too few of them. Even if they get 300 on the ground, that is nowhere near what they sent to Kosovo, say, back in 1998. 2,000 observers went there. Far smaller country.
Well, first, I believe that the Arab observers were able to do a little bit positive thing. However, I also say that there is some important differences between the mission of the Arab League observers and the mission of the UN observers, not least of which is the fact that the latter comes with the authority of the Security Council and with the legitimacy of the international system and international law. They come also with better equipment, with more professional knowledge and more ability to establish facts on the ground and to report on those facts. This mission will be using important assets, including technological assets and hopefully also air assets that would allow them to do much better job.
You just used the word hopefully. Assets, they'll get a chance to use assets that will allow them to do the job. Hopefully is the key word here, because as of now, as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, they cannot use their own helicopters to travel around the country. They still do not have total freedom of movement. Is that correct?
The first part, yes. The second part, no. Actually, there has been already a preliminary agreement with the Syrian government that contains all appropriate rules for the mission to function in full freedom. And this involves complete freedom of movement and access, complete communications with any individual they deem appropriate, complete freedom of the usage of communication system, etc., etc. So on this one, you were wrong. But on the issue of the air assets, there is still no agreement, but we think that it can be done.
Kofi Annan has traveled, as we know, to the capitals in Russia, in China. He's been to Iran as well, trying to bring some persuasion to bear on those countries which have been supporters of Bashar Assad. Russia is really, it seems, the big obstacle here, and it hasn't really seemed to change its position at all. It is a problem, is it not?
Well, the way I see it, that there was unity among all members of the council, including the 5 permanent members, and I would deal with this aspect. Of course, there are differences, political differences among the P5, and our job, actually, the joint special envoy job, is to try to minimize such differences and to bring unity to the international position.
You talk about the unity, but Hillary Clinton had spoken to Sergei Lavrov, the foreign minister. He said the situation is not static, those were his words, that they are deteriorating. That would indicate, do you see a chance that Russia might change its position, might abandon its support of Bashar Assad? Is that a goal of Kofi Annan's?
I think there has been changes in the positions of many players. And again, the proof was in the unanimous adoption of Security Council Resolution 2042, and we are hopeful. Again, we trust that there will be further actions by the Security Council, beginning with the authorization of the observer mission itself.
I don't have to remind you, sir, there's been obviously a lot of criticism in the world community against many parts of this peace plan. Some people have basically given up on it. People are concerned with the humanitarian situation in Syria. There's been numbers of hundreds of thousands displaced. Are you concerned that this plan is merely giving Bashar Assad time to continue crushing the opposition, to continue, some people would say, killing his own people?
I think this is very illogical way to look at the plan and to look at the efforts of the special envoy. Let me remind everybody that the special envoy came to this problem almost 13 months after the beginning of the crisis in Syria and after the failure of the international community to agree on anything. So in a sense, of course, we are not responsible for the current situation, but we are trying to find solution for the current situation.
But what if there is no...
I would also argue that there probably aren't so many options out there. So maybe it would be better for everybody to cooperate in support of this mission, give it a real chance, and see then what options do we have if things don't go well.
But right now, as of right now, things are arguably not going well. And I'm just curious, is there a contingency plan? At what point does Kofi Annan say, listen, I can only be a diplomat so long. I've tried everything. We have to start looking at other measures, other steps. We have to come up with a new plan,
Again, I wouldn't disagree with the description that things are not going that well, although it's not all bad. And when it comes to other options and alternatives to this plan, if the need arises, then it's going to be for the Security Council to decide on any other choice.
So how many days left do we give it? Because already here in France, Foreign Minister Hillary Clinton in the U.S., they want much tougher action taken at the Security Council. Are we talking a couple of days, a few more days to give this plan a chance and then revisit it?
Well, neither Kofi Annan nor the mission nor anyone else would prevent something like this to happen. And of course, if actions are taken in the Security Council or by any group that is useful and that would lead to changes in the situation, we would be very happy with this.
Nasser Al-Qudwa, unfortunately, we've run out of time. Have to cut you off there. You are ending with words of hope. Hope still for a peace plan, which up until now has not been going exactly according to plan, many people would say. But I thank you for sharing your thoughts today, and we'll see where we stand in the next few days and weeks, because as of this hour, the plan seems to be unraveling. I thank you all for watching the interview here on France 24.